Hello, welcome to Sports World Have Your Say with me, Amanda Davis. Coming up this week, Football United, the sports family shows its good side as players and fans show their support for Fabrice Muamba.
As I say, Fabrice, we're all willing you on to recover. We think the world of you,
End of March, must be time for the mind games to start. Manchester City sit top, but is it advantage United?
Well, they've got a game on Monday night. They've got to go and do what they do. Try and win games. We can't do anything about that. We can only concentrate on what we do ourselves.
And what does £100 million buy you on Merseyside? 7th place. It's been a busy week for the team on Facebook and Twitter with all your comments coming in. We're going to try and get through as many as possible in the next hour or so while we're live on air. Keep them coming in. Why not send us a text or pick up the phone and give us a call as well. The usual number is where you'll find us, +44 20 70 83 73 33. My guest this week is making his debut on the show, and he couldn't have timed it any better. A former Liverpool, Manchester City, Bolton and Newcastle player. Welcome along to Dietmar Hamann. He's looking forward to chatting to you, but let's just pause for a summary of the latest news. You're watching Sports World Have Your Say. A week ago, we were fearing the worst for Bolton's Fabrice Muamba, who suffered a cardiac arrest on the pitch against Spurs. Yesterday, the Bolton manager Owen Coyle said his team received a good luck message from the 23-year-old from his hospital bed ahead of their 2-1 win over Blackburn. And after talking about racism and homophobia and other horrible aspects of football so far this season, this week, I'm pleased to say we've got to give football a pat on the back for its support.
Well, if I just be quiet for a second, you can hear the Reebok Stadium here chanting out Fabrice Muamba's name. There was a minute's applause scheduled for 3 minutes to 3, but to be honest, the crowd have been applauding non-stop for about the last 3 or 4 minutes. Get well soon. Fab is in the big video screen away to our right. Muamba 6 still spelt out in the mosaic opposite in the east stand lower. Still in hospital, of course, still a long way to go for Fabrice Muamba, but very much uppermost in the thoughts of everybody here at the Reebok Stadium. And also on the advertising hoardings opposite, Muamba 6, get well soon, Fabrice is the message.
As I say, Fabrice, we're all willing you on to recover. We think the world of you, and we'll keep praying and God bless.
And of course, the Bolton boss, Owen Coyle. Fantastic scenes from around the world this week with the football family showing their support to Fabrice Muamba. I'm pleased to say this week I'm joined by Dietmar Hamann. He joins us from our Manchester studios. Andy is a Bolton fan who joins me in London, and Bridges is a Liverpool fan who is with us on Skype from Denmark. Andy, it is incredible, the scenes this week, and how fabulous that football has united over this.
Absolutely. I mean, if you just think of the way that we were all feeling exactly this time last week, uncertainty, he was sedated in hospital, we had no idea if he was going to come through at all. And then to think that yesterday, glorious day in the sunshine at the Reebok, I drove up there, had a great day. It was a really celebratory atmosphere, and although we know he's got a long way to go, it's just an incredible change in mood from this time last week, yeah.
Diddy, how impressed have you been by what you've seen in the last week?
Well, I think it's been fantastic the way the whole football community came together, supported Fabrice Muamba. I think the way Bolton Wanderers, especially Owen Coyle, handled the situation, I think it's been fantastic, and everybody obviously wishes him all the best. It looks like he's over the worst, and he's pulling through. And it's great to see Bolton get a result yesterday. All the well wishes from around the world, whether it's in Germany, whether it's in La Liga. And I think everybody saw now that if something bad happens in football, because obviously you get all the wrong and bad headlines, I think if something does happen, you see what a strong community the football community is.
And Andy, we've got to give credit to Owen Coyle. He's handled this week spectacularly, hasn't he?
Absolutely. I mean, the fans have got a lot of love for him anyway from his time as a player, but results for the last year have been pretty ordinary, to say the least. So there've been a few murmurs of, is he still the right man for the job? But actually, I think now, after the way he's handled himself this week, you just really won't hear any of that at all, because as he's constantly said, there are things more important than football, and he's led the club very well this week. And I know a lot of other fans have just been very proud of the way he's handled himself.
Bridges, how has this story been treated in Denmark?
Actually, because football was making like headlines for wrong reasons. This is actually very good as a football fan. This shows why football is so powerful. Everybody was united, and players in Spain were wearing T-shirts for goodwill messages to Muamba. So like this shows like football is really the greatest sport and how united we can be in football.
Well, Harak Shiran in Warsaw has tweeted saying, "May God bless Muamba as a Blackburn fan. I hope we can see him playing in the Bolton shirt soon." And it is incredible that this really has broken down the barriers of football, Andy.
Absolutely. I've not got much time for Blackburn at the best of times, to be honest. But the fans were brilliant yesterday. They were so warm during the game and beforehand around the stadium. It was a really nice atmosphere, and you only had to look at the shirts at the front of the ground. Clubs that we don't really get on with that well, Manchester United, Burnley, there were all these shirts represented, Manchester City, Liverpool, you know, those fierce Northwest rivalries that Diddy will know all about, just kind of put to one side. And I was really pleased, because sometimes when I talk to people and I tell them I'm a football fan, they say, oh, you know, but actually this week I've been really proud to be a Bolton fan first and foremost, but to be a football fan as well.
Yeah, Diddy, you're based up in the Northwest. Have you sensed a different atmosphere in recent days?
Well, I think when things happened in the past, I think you always saw that everybody pulls together. And obviously nobody wants to see the scenes which happened last week. I think everybody was in shock when the events unfolded at White Hart Lane, and obviously everybody was, the thoughts and the prayers were with Fabrice Muamba and his family, and for him to pull through, it looks like he's not got any damage whatsoever. He's been dead for 78 minutes, and obviously being a fit lad probably saved his life and saved his future. So you know, for everybody to come together, support him the way they did. Obviously these days with the social networking sites, I think it's been fantastic, and you've seen players, you've seen Barcelona, you've seen Real Madrid wearing the T-shirts before the games in the warm-ups. I think it just showed that football is a community which always pulls together if things go wrong, if bad things happen. And I agree with Andy. I think this was one of the weeks where everybody could be proud to be associated with football clubs and being a football fan.
Andy, Tim Ream said the best tribute to Muamba would be for Bolton to stay up and get to Wembley. And Owen Coyle himself said yesterday he didn't need a team talk. Yeah,
it's a great result for them. Obviously, there were question marks before how much it affected them, because you've got to think psychologically it would have left a mark. And on the other hand, you wouldn't know how much they trained this week, because even if they were on the training pitch, I would think in the first 2-3 days of the week, when Fabrice was still in a bad way, I don't think how much they actually did train. I don't think the thoughts were with the training or with whatever the coaches told him, because obviously there was still a question mark whether he would get through or not. And a fantastic result for them. Obviously they turned it into a positive. As I said, it seems like there's a happy ending with Muamba. And you know, all Owen Coyle needed to say yesterday was, you know, go out and do it for Fabrice. And the team responded in a fantastic manner. They still have a long way to go if they want to stay up. They've got to repeat the performance from yesterday a few more times before the end of the season, but they've given themselves every chance with the win yesterday.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things where the game almost, once it had started, once it had kicked off, after about 5 minutes, we all sort of thought, oh, actually, there is a game here that we've got to play. And I think what Ream said is right, that it's no use getting this result yesterday and then getting relegated, because as Owen Coyle said, we want Muamba to come back if he is going to play again. We want him to be a Premier League player again. We want him to have that chance to come back into a Premier League squad. And we know people around the world will probably remember watching the semi-final at Wembley last year, where we got beaten 5-0 by Stoke. Really terrible day. And you know, we've had a pretty terrible year actually. We'd lost Nat Lofthouse, Gary Speed as well. Tamir Cohen's dad died. We've had some terrible injuries. So if we could get back to Wembley, maybe even get to the final and stay up, I think that would be absolutely sensational end to the season.
The emotional impact of the events of the last week has been something that has been talked about across the board, and this is what Owen Coyle had to say after the game yesterday.
football itself is very emotional and passionate and everything else, that we know that we have the best game in the world. But when something like that happens to somebody you hold dear, then that, you know, football for me pales into insignificance, and our thoughts and, as I say, everything, our prayers are with Fabrice and the players have felt that. I mean, I would think that when they come into that dressing room, well, I know they were absolutely, you know, they were out on their feet, both physically and mentally.
Andy, there is still quite a way to go in this season. Does that concern you, that actually the players will kind of get through this and then there will be a dip in form?
Yeah, I think that's got to be the worry, the concern at the moment, because they'll have been running this week on pure emotion. We've got the game on Tuesday back at White Hart Lane, the original tie that was called off this time last week, obviously. So I think that'll be a good test to see how exactly we're going to come through it. Can we stand up to what is obviously a very good Spurs team? If we can maybe even get the result, I think that will push us on. We play Wolves on Saturday, another big relegation game. If we can get a result there, I've got confidence that we'll stay up, and that's, you know, would be, as I say, an incredible result.
Please do keep your messages coming into us here at Sports World. Have your say. Joseph in Malawi has posted on our Facebook site saying, Muamba, I can't wait to see you get out of the clinic. Get well soon. This is an interesting one. I have no idea whether it's true or not. @4Tom has said on Twitter, just heard Thierry Henry flew 5,000 miles to spend an hour in hospital with Fabrice Muamba after playing for New York Red Bulls on Sunday. What an absolute legend. That is an incredible story if that is true. Andy, I think you're nodding.
Yeah, I live just around the corner from the hospital, actually, and apparently that is true. He managed to sneak in past the media somehow, a bit of a back entrance. And I think, you know, there was talk of a lot of players going to visit him, but I think you probably would have seen more had he not been in, you know, such serious condition the first couple of days. Only a couple of the Bolton squad actually managed to get in to see him so far. I think a lot of them are going to come down on Tuesday when we've got the game at Spurs and actually see him in person. But yeah, the way that it was really humbling, actually, because seeing Henry do that, Henry obviously personally knew him, but then seeing players like Messi, the Barcelona players, the Real Madrid players, the Juve players, Pirlo, these guys all pulling together for him, you thought, actually, that's really quite humbling.
Yeah, Paul in Pennsylvania has posted on Facebook saying the love show to Bolton by the world of football is just amazing. We should use this to kick all abuse out of football. Just before we move on, I've listed all the clubs that Didier's played for in his time, Andy. Signed for your guys, Bolton, but didn't actually make it onto the pitch. Anything you want to say to him?
I'd love to throw it back to him. I'd love to hear the story behind this one, because we were all delighted when we'd signed such a quality player, and then about 24 hours later, we'd sold him again to Man City. So I don't know what happened.
Yeah, long story cut short, it was one of them things. I thought I made not the decision I wanted to, and Sam Allardyce was very understanding and thoughtful, and you know, he got some money for a player who never played for the football club, so we should just leave it as. It was just one of them things I'm not proud of, but unfortunately I never wore the Bolton shirt. They've been great with me in the short time I did sign for them, and you know, helped us find a solution.
Well,
so
did they even manage to buy you lunch in that time? I don't.
No, it didn't get that far, but you know, as I said, it was one of the things I'm not proud of, and obviously with all the support that Bolton gets, I hope they're still a Premier League club next year. And obviously I wish him well. No
hard feelings. We'll let you off, even though you missed out on signing for the best club in the world.
Much appreciated, thank you.
Well, we are going to be talking about that battle at the bottom in just a couple of minutes. Who do you think will avoid the drop? Stay with us here on Sports World. Have your say. OK, only one game in the English Premier League on Sunday. Newcastle beating West Brom 3-1. Alan Pardew, along with Brendan Rodgers, Paul Lambert, could all be in the running for manager of the season. Would make a bit of a change from normally the team that wins the title, their manager winning that award. Did he? It's been quite a spectacular performance, really, from some surprising figures this season. Yeah,
unbelievable. I think Newcastle is the surprise story. People weren't sure. They sold some of their best players in the summer last year. The ownership was an issue, and for Alan Pardew to come through signing Demba Ba and Cisse, two absolute top players, I think it's the story of the season, and the way they're going at the moment, you wouldn't put it past them to finish in the top 4. They're only 5 points behind Spurs at the moment. And, you know, obviously for manager of the season, you've got Brendan Rodgers, you've got Paul Lambert, you've got Mancini, Ferguson. So, you know, I think it'll be a tight race.
Okay, you're watching Sports World. Have your say. Bolton's win over Blackburn moved them out of the relegation zone, a point clear of QPR. 3 of 5 of Blackburn, Bolton, QPR, Wigan, Wolves look to be going down. Andy, in many ways, the knock-on effect of everything that has happened at the Reebok this week has been a massive boost for the relegation fight.
Yeah, I mean, when we came to actually play the game yesterday, it was almost out of our minds that we'd won our previous league game against QPR. So we've now won 2 on the bounce, if you include the Blackburn game, against our relegation rivals, which is pretty good form. And as I say, again, we've got Wolves on Saturday. But I think we're looking in much better shape than we were even just this time a couple of weeks ago. But I think it's probably going to go down to the wire. It could even go down to the last day. You know, like we had last year, that famous kind of day on the last day of the Premier League season, who's going to go down? I think it almost could come to that again because we've all got some tricky ties.
On the flip side, I'm sure you won't agree, Andy, but you kind of had to feel a little bit sorry for Blackburn that they were the team facing Bolton yesterday, and their manager Steve Keane said the occasion did put some extra pressure on his players.
I don't think we were like our normal selves in the first half. Maybe, you know, the occasion, you know, and the atmosphere inside the ground, and I think that really put, you know, Bolton, you know, on the front foot, and we never really matched their intensity. So I was disappointed with that. Having said that, I thought we'd a very, very good claim for a penalty at 0-0. And if we get that, normally the Yak puts same in, and, you know, that would put a different outlook and get our noses in front. But, you know, Andre's deemed it wasn't, so we just have to accept that.
Did you agree with those people suggesting that maybe Junior Hoilett didn't protest as much about that penalty shout because of everything that was surrounding the game yesterday?
Yeah, it's a possibility. Then again, the referee's got to make a decision, and you know, usually the referee doesn't change his mind. Once he made his mind up, in this case he made his mind up, it's not a penalty. If he had protested more, you know, maybe it would have gave him a booking for it. So, you know, I think players in general protest too much. I think if the referee makes a decision, it's got to be accepted and you have to move on. And I think Hoilett done the right thing yesterday to move on and don't protest as much as others did in the past.
Let's welcome Angela back to the programme, a Stoke fan, normally based in Tenerife, but I think you are actually in Stoke this weekend. Wolves and Wigan, have they got any chance of survival, do you think?
It's going to be very difficult. I mean, Bolton played Stoke the last match of the season, so we played Wigan last match of the season last year, and Wigan beat Stoke. So, I mean, I think like everybody else, as a neutral fan, you'll hope that Bolton will stay up, and it's going to be very tight, whoever goes down.
And a very, very big game next weekend, Bolton-Wolves.
Yeah, I'm not sure who's going to win that, but you would feel that Wolves will probably go down now, but as I say, everybody that's a neutral with what happened to Fabrice Muamba will want Bolton to stay up, I would imagine. Yeah,
Andy, any sympathy for Wolves and what's happened with manager Terry Connor?
I've got no sympathy for them because they made the wrong decision, didn't they? Mick McCarthy's a seasoned manager. I actually used to like him, a bit of a dour Yorkshireman. I actually used to like him in his interviews. I thought he was really personable guy and actually really quite interesting, and I think they made totally the wrong decision getting rid of him, and they're going to pay for it, I think, and so I can't have much sympathy for them. I think we're going to stay up. I think we're going to look like they're in some form. I think QPR have got too many tough games, so QPR and Wolves definitely to go, and I wouldn't rule out Villa getting dragged into it.
Yeah, here's one for you, Diddy. Aidan Paul has posted on Twitter using the hashtag SWHYS. How many points do you think will keep a team up in the Premiership this season? Could it be the lowest yet?
Well, I don't know what the lowest yet is, but I reckon you probably need about 35, 36 points that should keep you up. Then again, you know, towards the end of the season, you get some freak results because there's a lot of teams in the division who've not got anything to play for. And obviously nobody expected Wigan to beat Liverpool yesterday. Bolton getting the result, so it's getting really tight. I agree with Andy. Wolves looks doomed. I'm not sure whether they've got the capabilities to get the 14, 15 points required from now till the end of the season. And QPR's got a tough run. They've got Arsenal, Man United to come. So QPR, I would say, with Wolves are the most likely ones. And then you look at Wigan and Bolton. Blackburn seem to get results every time they've got their backs to the wall and people said, oh, I think they're getting dragged into it or they're going down, they get a result, and their home form is what keeps them up at the moment. Wigan, on the other hand, they only won one home game so far this season. So if Wigan doesn't improve their home form, they may well be the third team going down with QPR and Wolves.
Yeah, we've got to have a look at QPR because they really are doing themselves no favours at all at the moment. Captain Joey Barton booed off this week. Cisse scored 3 and 5, but he's been sent off in the other two, Andy. Can you see any way back for them?
I don't think so, no. I mean, we beat them first day of the season 4-0 and they didn't look a Premier League team then. But they gave Warnock a bit of time. He seemed to be building some momentum. And then again, like Wolves, they got rid of the manager at what I think was a stupid stage of the season to get rid of him. And now it does look like they're in a lot of trouble. I follow Joey Barton on Twitter, and what's he playing at? Why is he on there? Shouldn't his head be in the game? I mean, I follow him because you get a bit of Schadenfreude out of it. But what's he playing at?
Let's just have a look at the players, because Tony Fernandes, the QPR owner, has written this on Twitter. We have 8 games left, 4 at home, which are winnable, and 4 away. It is up to the players now. He picks up on that point, Andy. We have done all we can. Diddy, is there a point there? Do you think the players at QPR want to survive?
Well, of course they want to survive. Nobody wants to go down because obviously there's a lot of money involved. Some of the players will be on contracts where the wages halved or even the contracts get cancelled because they've only got contracts for the Premier League. Nobody wants to go down. It's not a nice thing.
You sometimes question whether they actually really know the implications of going down at QPR.
Well, I think more implications. I think when you're down at the bottom, I think this is a real pressure situation, and it's probably got more impact for people around the club because they probably make people redundant around the club because you can't afford to have as many employees in the Championship than you have in the Premier League, and obviously all that goes around with it. It's not a nice thing to have on your CV. I don't think they want to go down. No, they try everything to stay up, but at the same time, as you said before, they've got disciplinary issues. Another sending off yesterday. Cisse will miss 4 out of the last 8 games now. He's been sent off a few weeks ago, and obviously the players are no good if they can't play, and they shot themselves in the foot a few times. So they're sending off a couple of weeks ago when they played Fulham at home. Cisse got sent off twice now in 4 or 5 weeks, and I think these are worrying signs because if you've got a lack of discipline in your team, you need to. It's hard enough winning Premier League games with 11 players, and if you get people sent off, missing games, influential players, then obviously you make it even harder for yourself. And I think this may well be the turning point. Losing Cisse for 4 games, losing at Sunderland after having such a great result against Liverpool. Which decides their fate, and I can't really see QPR staying up with the running they've got.
Well, let's just remind ourselves of the state of play at the bottom of the table. This is how things stand. Wolves propping up the rest after 4 defeats in 4. Wigan second from bottom on 25 points, same as QPR. Bolton above that dotted line, just in 17th. Blackburn 16th, 3 points from safety. Aston Villa fans starting to worry now as well, as we mentioned. Brijesh is back with us. Brijesh, who do you think should be most worried about going down?
I think QPR is going to be worried about because they have invested a lot of money and most of the players have that contract. If they are relegated, they will automatically lose them, and they have very hard games against Arsenal, United, Swansea, and I think QPR is most likely to go down along with Wigan and Wolves. I think Bolton will survive and Blackburn can cleanse the result because they have been producing results against big clubs. So I think those 3 which are in bottom right now are likely to be relegated.
Joshua has tweeted, "Tell you what, I'd be right worried if I supported a team in the relegation battle. That would be a huge boost for Chesterfield now." Mike Parry of a local radio station said Tony Fernandes is deluded. He just said QPR can win their remaining 4 home games. Call the men in the white suits. And Brijesh, everybody's saying Wigan going down, but they beat Liverpool yesterday.
Yeah, but still I think they have very hard games. I don't like Liverpool are not playing good football at all. They are very unpredictable side, but how can they produce results against Arsenal, Manchester United and Chelsea and some of the teams which are really consistent? They don't have some easy games, but still the thing that is going to determine who is going to be relegated is like the game between the teams. They are fighting relegation. If they can produce
Okay, Brajesh, I'm just going to stop you there. We're going to be talking more on Liverpool and the title race and that battle for fourth in just a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. Welcome to Sports World. Have your say with me, Amanda Davis. We're taking the battle at the battle at the bottom and the fight for survival in the Premier League. And if many of your messages are to be believed, then Liverpool manager Kenny Dalglish is fighting for his job with Liverpool 7th in the table. Is the King's crown slipping? Lots of you have been getting in touch on Facebook and Twitter talking about the title race and the mind games in Manchester. Do you believe it's Advantage United? And what about that race for fourth? Who'll be plying their trade in the Champions League next season? I've got Dietmar Hamann with me this week, waiting to talk to you. All the normal ways to get in touch are available: Twitter, Facebook, text, email and on the phone. While you get tapping away though, let's just pause for a summary of the latest news.
Amanda, thanks very much. Top stories this hour. The Russian president has warned a mission to Syria by the peace envoy Kofi Annan may be the last chance to avoid a civil war. Dmitry Medvedev was speaking during talks in Moscow with Mr. Annan, who wants Russia to take a firmer stance against President Assad. Prosecutors in France have filed preliminary charges of complicity to murder and terrorism against the brother of the gunman who killed 7 people in the area around Toulouse. The brother, Abdelkader Merah, denies the accusations. President Obama has used a visit to South Korea to warn its neighbour that it could face further sanctions if it goes ahead with a planned rocket launch. Mr. Obama said it would be difficult to advance a food aid package if Pyongyang carried out the launch. The families of the Afghan villagers killed by an American soldier have received compensation. The US has paid them $46,000 per person killed and $10,000 for each person injured. Pope Benedict has been celebrating an open-air mass in Mexico to a congregation of hundreds of thousands. It is the highlight of his first papal visit to the world's second most populous Roman Catholic nation.
You're watching Sports World. Have your say. Liverpool were beaten by Wigan on Saturday, their 5th defeat in 6 games in the EPL. But manager Kenny Dalglish continues to insist his club are making progress. He wasn't massively happy after the game on Saturday, though. This is what he had to say.
And we can only control our own destiny, but obviously you need a lot. When you're going to be successful, doesn't matter how good or bad you are, you still need to have a wee bit of bounce of the ball with some decisions, and if you don't get them, it makes it more difficult for you.
I've got former Liverpool player Didi Hamann with me, joining us from Salford. Brajesh is a Liverpool fan who joins us from Denmark, and Angela is a Stoke fan who is with us as well. Kenny Dalglish saying his team have made progress. Brajesh, have you seen progress?
I don't think there is any progress. Carling Cup is not going to do any favour because we have waited for 20 years and we are probably the most optimistic fans. We need something. Actually, 7th position in league is not what we want. I think Kenny is fundamentally wrong. He has to, we need soul searching in Liverpool. Seriously.
Well, that's Brijesh's view on their manager. Lots of Liverpool fans were calling into BBC's radio programme here in the UK, 6:06 on Saturday night. This is what they had to say.
Typical Liverpool this season. Didn't do anything with the possession, didn't convert it into chances and didn't convert it into goals. I don't know how Jordan Henderson gets a Liverpool shirt to wear. Stuart Dowding was anonymous, and Andy Carroll, Newcastle must be laughing all the way to the bank.
He spent a lot of money on these players, hasn't got the best out of them, and took us backwards in the league, really. I think maybe it's time to look for a new manager.
There was only one ripple of the normal chanting of Dalglish's name today.
95% of our fans, they need to really just wake up and see that Dalglish, he's a gibbering wreck. We need him out. His signings are an absolute shambles. Watching us is no fun at all. It's no fun. People keep saying, believe in Dalglish. I don't believe in him. I don't believe in him. I want him out. He's got to go.
Not exactly sitting on the fence. Kenny out, he's taken them backwards. Did he? Do you agree?
I think you've got to be careful. I think these people probably called for Kenny to come in 12 or 14 months ago when he took the club over, and I think he's steadied the ship. I think he's done a good job so far. They won the League Cup. There's a chance to go to the FA Cup final and maybe put the FA Cup in the trophy cabinet as well. And the club hasn't won anything for 5 or 6 years. On the other hand, obviously the league form, I think we all agree, is not good enough. They're 7th in the league. I think they're 13 points behind Spurs now with 8 games to go, and it's clearly not good enough, because these days you have to be in the Champions League to attract the best player and give yourself a good opportunity and the chance to be successful in the future, because there's a lot of money involved, and the best players won't come to Liverpool if you're not in the Champions League. And if the club is missing out for the 2nd year running, I think next year will be even harder, because Chelsea and Arsenal have not been at their best this year, so I don't think it'll be any easier next year. And obviously this is the worry now. Some of the players who have been brought in have not performed, and they need to step up now. They have to show that they deserve to play for Liverpool and wear the shirt on a weekly basis. And I don't think there's too much he can do now. I think Kenny should finish the season. He's got an opportunity to win the FA Cup, as I said, and then you've got to make a decision in the summer. But
so are you saying you think he should go in the summer?
No, I'm not saying that, because if you win the FA Cup and the League Cup, I think you've got to look back and say you had a good season. You know, I don't think if you win 2 cups you can talk, or you can say it's been a disappointing season. So I think you should finish the season. Then you have to have a look in the summer. Is the team good enough? Do you need to bring players in? Do you want to get rid of players? Because I think the club at the moment, as it is 4 or 5 players short of even challenging for a top 4 spot. And obviously I think there have been made mistakes in the transfer window in recent years. But at the same time, when you buy a player, there's always a risk attached. If you bring players in, you don't know till they actually come to the football club. And Stuart Downing and Jordan Henderson, they haven't showed the form, and Andy Carroll, as they showed in their previous clubs. So, you know, I think that the team that needs to be addressed, what needs to be changed, and I definitely should think that Kenny should finish the season, and I don't see any problem. I think he's done a good job so far. But obviously we all agree that the Premier League form, or the form in the league, has to improve.
Andy, would you agree with that? Would you give him even more money? He spent 113 million, and you know, I think March the 14th, 2011, they were 7th in the Premier League, and here we are, March the 25th, 2012, having spent 113 million, they're still 7th in the Premier League. Is spending more money the answer, do you think?
Well, when we were finishing in the top 8 regularly a few years ago under Sam Allardyce, we'd spent about 5 or 10 million, so it does just kind of put it in context, doesn't it? I mean, when you listen to all the voices on that clip that you played from 606, there wasn't any Scouse accents, there weren't any fans actually from Liverpool there, and I think what you'll find is that the fans in Liverpool, the guys who go and stand on the Kop probably still are behind him because he's such a legend there. But having said that, I don't think he covered himself in glory with the Suarez incident, and just he seems like he's lost a bit of his aura, and I can see maybe, like Diddy says, if they don't win the FA Cup, there might be a bit of a review in the summer, because they're not going to give him another 100 million without guarantees it's going to win them the league.
Malcolm has tweeted, Dalglish should be judged at the end of the season. People say get rid, but who would you have instead? Shouldn't we give him time, not like Chelsea? And Davidson in Amsterdam has written on goal.com, let Kenny stay. This whole season, it's like the media knows what's best for Liverpool. The players are letting Dalglish down, especially the new ones. Carroll and Adam need to go. Angela, do you blame the players?
I think it's very difficult to manage expectations at a club like Liverpool. Didi will know, because he's obviously played in a great team. But just judging from Stoke, you know, our expectations now are to get better and better every season. And I think Kenny's changed the way Liverpool play.
Oh, I think unfortunately we've got some problems with the line with Angela there. Didi, I've got a question for you from Andrew Ventham on Twitter. He says, as an ex-Liverpool player, does Didi feel Champions League is more important than winning cups?
I'd say yes. Obviously, you want to win trophy, because at the end of the day, this is what it all comes down to. But I think what we see in recent years, that it gives you the best opportunity, or the best possible chance to be successful in the future if you're in the Champions League. I think you have to be in the Champions League on a regular basis, and on top of that, you've got to win a cup. You've got to win the Champions League, or whether it's the Europa League. you've got to win a trophy on top of that. I think it's essential to be in the Champions League. If the club misses out, which they will do for a second year running, as I said, I don't think next year will be any easy. And obviously you're faced with the same dilemma as last year when you bring players in for a lot of money, because the top players you own the track. So you've got to bring the players in who are not good enough for the Manchester Cities or the Man Uniteds or the Chelseas, and you bring them players in, and I'm not sure whether they improve the team as much as they should do, as everybody expected them to do. And you know, I think it's a bit of a vicious circle, and people say players want to come to Liverpool now. Well, Liverpool is still a big name, but if you don't play in the Champions League, the name Liverpool or the club Liverpool alone won't attract these players, because they want to test themselves against the best players in the world, and they play in the Champions League. So you know, something needs to change, because, as I said, the home form, the league form, has not been good enough, and long term, medium to long term, you need to get back in the Champions League. I think the players need to improve. If they're not good enough, I think you have to cut your costs, cut your losses, and sell 2 or 3 in the summer, and hopefully bring some young talent in. Raheem Sterling come in yesterday, he's done ever so well, he's 17 years. You know, I think gives Kenny a chance to bring some of the young players in, because some of the older players clearly haven't done it over the course of the season. Stick the young players in, they'll get better with the experience, and I think gives the fans and everybody else a boost.
You're saying it's the players. It has to be said, a few people on Twitter are talking about the manager. Twaika Kasumu from Zambia has said, in King Kenny, we trust he will step down. Chris White on Twitter says, bring Rafa back. Before we move on, Didi, I know you've said you would quite fancy the job in the past. Would you put your hand up if Kenny was to go?
No, as I said, I think we should not lose our senses. These people who phoned up or phoned in yesterday, I think they were the first ones to shout Kenny's name 12 months ago. So, as I said, I think he should see the season out, hopefully win the FA Cup, and then you've got to give him another chance next year to improve the league form. And I still think he's the right man for the job, and you know, I'd leave it there.
Okay, well, it's been a while since Liverpool have been challenging seriously for the title. Manchester United play Fulham on Monday night with a chance to move 3 points clear at the top after City could only draw with Stoke. City top, but you'd have to say, Andy, it's advantage United, isn't it?
Much as it pains me to say it, yes, it looks like. I mean, I think it really says something about the quality of the league. We keep hearing about how the English Premier League is the best in the world, but if this Manchester United team, which is not a vintage Manchester United team at all, ends up actually winning the league, I think that says probably something about the strength of our league at the moment. City, I will be glad to see the old top 4 broken up, but I can't help feeling like if they did win it, they will have bought it to an extent. So, yeah, Hobson's choice really, City or United, but it looks like United are favourites, yeah.
Well, let's welcome Rene to the programme. Joins us on the phone from Grenada. Thank you for calling in on the usual number, +44 20 70 83 73 33. I'd think you're pretty happy as a Manchester United fan, aren't you? Rene, can you hear me on the phone?
Excellent. I'm hearing you very clearly. I'm hearing you very clearly.
OK, Rene, sorry, we just missed that. You must be pretty pleased as a Manchester United fan sitting here on Sunday, are you?
Yes, very ecstatic, and I believe there is nothing to stop them now, I believe. They will just have to work at it and be consistent.
I think we've got a few problems with the line there, sadly, from Grenada. Lots of you have been getting in touch about what Manchester City's draw against Stoke means for the title race. Munya Vondo says, I think money can't buy success. Fitcher William on Facebook says the title is for United to lose now. What do you think? Please do get in touch with us. We're going to be talking about that and a whole lot more in just a couple of minutes. You're watching Sports World, have your say. We're talking the title race in the English Premier League. People suggesting Roberto Mancini is cracking under the pressure after refusing to shake hands with Tony Pulis after their 1-1 draw with Stoke yesterday. The mind games have started as well, and Sir Alex Ferguson this week had no problems responding to claims that it was desperation to bring back Paul Scholes.
Well, if it's desperation, bring the best midfield player in Britain for the last 20 years, then I think we can accept that a little bit. But I think he was programmed for that. I think there's Roberto did a little wee dig a couple of weeks back, and we're all going to play our hand that way. I've got plenty of ammunition for that.
Let's welcome Omar, a Manchester City fan from Nairobi, to the programme. Before we speak to you, let's just have a look at the top of the table and how things stand, just how tight it is. City and United both there on 70 points. City ahead just on goal difference, but United do have the chance to leapfrog them and go 3 points clear if they beat Fulham in that game. I'm quite pleased I'm going to at Old Trafford on Monday. What does that make you think when you look at that table, Omar? Worried?
Absolutely, and it's worrying at this time that United are almost on the home stretch, and Fergie is basically, as he calls it, the squeaky bum time. I'm really worried, and Mancini has cracked. That's something for sure.
Mancini has cracked, did he? Do you think he has? Looking at it from a manager's perspective.
I don't think he's cracked. No, he won league titles with Inter Milan. He's a very experienced man. He's played at the highest level. He managed at the highest level. I don't think he's cracked. They just have a bit of a slump. I think they had a massive result against Chelsea. Stoke is a tough place to go, and you know, I don't think a draw there is the end of the world. Obviously, United looks to be in the driving seat, but then again, United still got to go to the Etihad, and I think if they stay within 2 or 3 points by the time they play United, I think they have every chance to win the league. Talking about the mind games,
I'd like to disagree with Didi there.
Go on, go for it.
Look at the remaining fixtures for Man City. They're hosting Sunderland this coming weekend, going away to the Emirates, again hosting West Brom. I expect City to continue with a good home form, but after that they're going to Carrow Road. And then by the time we meet United, we would have played 3 away games. And look at City's form over the last 3 games. It hasn't been nice. It's the reason that this has happened is that look at United. They've been basically using their players sparingly. And Ferguson, being the master, 10 years experience of winning this since the Premier League started, and more than that. He's been using his players sparingly. Look at Mancini. If you want to know that Mancini has cracked, he's been using players like Kolo Touré day in, day out. Kolo Touré flew directly from Africa after 1 month grueling Cup of Nations, flies directly to Porto, plays him in the match, and plays him the following weekend. What it means is that he doesn't have faith with the other players, and he's trying as much as possible to make sure that he's in touch with Man United. And I think that's a mistake. I think going to Emirates, Arsenal is a form team. I don't see City coming up with maximum points. I know City are good at home, so I expect them to beat West Brom. Sunderland, which is next week, very hard game. Going away to Carrow Road, we saw what Norwich did to United. United used all the experience they had to clinch it in the last minute. I think by the time City entertain United at the Etihad, the league would be over, unfortunately.
Well, lots of you have been getting in touch. This one always gets you going on Twitter and Facebook. Azoma Osigwe says, MUFC is the King of England, Manchester City too young to go with the title. Akunda Garaciano, Mancini's driving me mad. I think we should welcome Mourinho. He knows what he wants. Abdul Bangura, if Mancini can't take the heat, he needs to get out of the Premier League and go back to Serie A. Welcome to the toughest league on the planet, it has to be said. Mancini decided he didn't want to speak to the media after the game yesterday. He let his assistant David Platt do that. And Platt says the title race isn't over yet.
No, I think when we got beat against Swansea and United went to the top of the table, then people would turn around and say the initiative has gone their way because they were a point clear, We're on top of the table. They've got a game on Monday night. They've got to go and do what they do, try and win games. We can't do anything about that. We can only concentrate on what we do ourselves. And as I say, we've got the games left now to be able to go and do that, really. Just follow our road.
Diddy, how important is momentum at this time in the season?
Oh, it's very important. This is a crucial time of the season, and you wonder if United goes 3 points clear tomorrow, which everybody expects them to do. I think psychologically it'll be a big boost for them, because City's been winning the league for much of the season, and at such a crucial stage to get their noses ahead. And we all know once Man United is ahead, they're very hard to peg back. So yeah, City has to keep winning their home games as they did all season, and they have to improve their away form. I think they only scored 1 or 2 goals in the last 5 or 6 away games, and I think they only won 1 of them games. So they have to improve their away form, and then I still think it's they've got a very good chance to win the league. But as I said, United, they've been there before. They've done it for the last 10 years. They're a very experienced side. Once they go ahead, they'll be very hard to peg back. But at the same time, with United going to the Etihad, I think it'll be a very, very close call, and I still slightly favour City.
Well, Mancini was criticising Stoke for their style of play. Neil Custis wrote in the Sun newspaper, yes, Mancini could point to Stoke's physical approach and whinge his players had not had enough protection from ref Howard Webb. But the truth is the title heat is getting to the volatile Italian. One thing, though, you couldn't complain about yesterday, you couldn't help but admire, was the wonder goal from Peter Crouch, a 30-yard volley he described as probably his best ever. Andy, not bad for a big man, that touch, was it?
Oh, I've scored better in the park. No, absolutely brilliant. I couldn't believe it. I was listening to the radio at the time, as I say, and the commentator, I couldn't understand why the commentator was screaming and saying that it was the greatest goal he'd ever seen. And then I saw it later on the telly, and maybe it's not the greatest goal I've ever seen, but it was a very, very good goal, yeah.
Didi, why do you think it is that Peter Crouch doesn't get much credit from people?
I think he does. I think he's got a very good record for England. I'd like to see him in an England shirt again. I think he gives you a different option up front. I think he should go to the Euros. And you know, he's had a crack. He's had a lot of clubs, and he's never really got the breakthrough at Liverpool. He's done okay for them. The same happened at Spurs, where then Adebayor was brought in, and Defoe was there, and Van der Vaart. So he never really got enough chances at these clubs to show that he can do it. But yeah, he's been a great player for Stoke this year. He's got a lot of goals. He's done well in the Europa League for them. And you know, I had the joy to play with him for 1 year. He's an exceptional player. He's a lovely lad, and he's an exceptional player. And for his height, for a big man, he's got a wonderful touch. He's got great feet, and you know, obviously he always causes problems by sheer presence at his height. And you know, if you can use your feet as well, which he can do, and he showed it yesterday, what a fantastic footballer he is. You know, he might get one more chance at a club who qualifies for the Champions League.
Okay, well, that is the race for the top that we've been talking about. Also a big battle going on for 4th place and the spot in the European Champions League. Let's welcome Richard from Canada to the programme, and an Arsenal fan. Arsene Wenger said this week nobody wants to finish 5th. Who do you think it will be who finishes in that 5th spot?
I'm going to go for Chelsea at the minute. I can't see Chelsea, definitely won't catch Arsenal. And I can't see them overtaking Tottenham either.
And it's a big issue for Chelsea, because you would think it would have a big impact on their next manager as well.
Yes, it certainly will, and I can't see Jose coming back to not the Champions League. There was talk this morning about Capello being interested, but who's going to take a job unless they want a pay packet? You know, that's the way I look at the Chelsea job, is being sacked and walking off with a few million. That's the only reason a top manager would take that Chelsea job.
Just briefly, the Spurs manager, Harry Redknapp, said they're going to be fighting Arsenal for 3rd. What do you think, very briefly?
They won't catch us. It's mind that gap again. Okay, now it's our turn to say mind the gap.
Okay, Richard, I've got to stop you there. Thank you, everybody, for getting in touch. Big thank you from me for everything so far this season. Leroy Rossignol will be guiding your ship next week. Goodbye.